Well, anyone who's had kids knows that every so often you need a little support. Sometimes we just need some advice from someone who's been there or some calming words to stay positive during that morning chaos. Whatever the case may be, there is parental support out there, and it's just a phone call or click away. To discuss the counseling and resources that parents can tap into, I have Maral Kiani joining me from the Lethbridge Family Center. Maral, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeanette. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. I just really want to dive into this. So, I know a lot of parents might not know about the Family Center. So, what is it and what does it do? When I started researching, to me, it almost seemed like a kid's help phone, but for parents in a way. So,
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So, a Family Center is there to provide that prevention and early intervention programming and resources to Lethbridge families and all the caregivers and children that to build those resiliency skills and be able to provide them with the tools and the support that's needed to thrive in the future. So, we have a variety of different programming and support out there. We have drop-in play programs where it builds that social connection, working on executive functioning skills, building those skills that are really needed, the soft skills for the children, but as well as providing that social connection for families and parents and caregivers that need that, especially after COVID, building that relationship back up. We have more sort of targeted programs where a parent might need that one-on-one parent support about a specific thing that they're experiencing, whether it's disobedience of a child or whether it's just an extra little support about bedtime routines. We have parent support for that, so parent support coaches are able to help navigate that situation. We also do registered programs. Those registered programs, things like baby splat or a splat program or our baby gym time. Those are registered programs where, again, it focuses on those resiliency building, on those executive functioning skills, builds that social connection for parents and caregivers, and gives those tools for them to thrive in the future.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's such a needed resource. It sounds like you have so much going on there under the roof. We see it there at the Melcor Center. Most of us don't know what you guys do, and it's nice to know that it's not just for parents. Kids can actually tap into this as well, right? Like if a youth or other family members find themselves in need, there's so many services for them to tap into. So what's the best way if someone needs help? Like, what's the best way for them to access it? Is it online? Is it by calling you?
Yes, absolutely. So there's various different ways of connecting with Family Center. On our website, there's all of our programs. What I just highlighted were just a few. We have variety of different programs for whatever the need of the family is. We also have Indigenous programming where it's targeting for Indigenous families and really focusing on the Blackfoot culture and bringing Blackfoot culture into the youth's lives as well as the families, working with our elders and being able to support that way. Our website has a really great way of having our program guide where it lists when the programs start, how many weeks they are, how is the registration. So website's a great place to get resources, as well as calling us. Calling our number, our front staff are ready and happy to support families. For those who need an extra little support where they don't know what is it that their family needs. We have a dedicated staff called a family connector. So our family connector is our system navigator, where they're able to do an interview process with the family and see really what are your needs right now, what are the priorities, and be able to support whether it's within Family Center or external to Family Center, being able to support and provide that wraparound service for families. So I would say our website as well as our phone number is the best way to connect with us. Our number is 403-320-4232, and that will connect it to our main reception, and then they can navigate through that.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And you mentioned so many programs there, counseling, there's the coaching, all of that. Even if just the parent has to come in for assessment, do you offer childcare on the spot there as well?
Well, some of our programming, we do partner, we do have casual childcare providers that if there's a registered play program or a program, then the children can be under a care while the parents go through that program. We're not a childcare center ourselves, but we'll remove barriers for families as best as we can. And with our counseling, we used to have in-house free counseling support. Unfortunately, with loss of funding, we lost that department. However, we have a private funder that has given us subsidized funds that we are able to support families, and we have partnered with 3 private counselors on site at our Melcor Center and be able to refer families that fit that criteria for counseling. Our 2 other locations on the north side as well as on the west side at Coalbanks Elementary, they do very much similar programming. Well, the west side does very much similar registered programming as our downtown. Our north side, which is located at Interfaith Food Bank, does a lot of that cooking, building social connection through the cooking programs and teaching where that comes from.
I love that. So you've got multiple locations. Maral, what is the history of the Family Center? How did it begin?
Family Center started actually about 40 years ago, and it was an amalgamation between two agency, sort of like a parent place, and then it transitioned into being a family center. And it's just that the needs for building those skills and resiliency building in our children and supporting families, because the future and the prevention is really key in making sure that our community doesn't have intense intervention down the road. So a lot of our programs and the history of Family Center really does focus on that. On the skills side and building those skills in families and in children. But with the integration of the brain story, all of our staff are brain story certified, and all of our programs incorporate the brain story model and how brain is an sort of an architecture, the brain architecture, and how you have to build support and build tools into making them resilient and kind of removing those toxic stresses and navigating that air traffic flow of the brain for parents, for children, and that's really key. And that's how Family Center has started, is building connections, building resources for families for the future of the community, because we know that intervention is a reality, and intervention is a reality in many communities, especially in Lethbridge. However, by building in our families and our children and really focusing on that prevention, we can limit the amount of intense intervention that we will have down the road.
Wow. Now, I understand that you have maybe a little bit of a partnership with Alberta Health Services.
Yeah, we do have, we are a FRN, so Family Resource Network is a model through the province, and in Lethbridge, Family Center is the hub, and we have 2 spokes internally. However, we partner with many agencies, and we have other spokes that partner with us through this FRN model. So we have AHS as one of our partners. We have Lethbridge Family Services, their counseling as one of our spokes. McMahon, the family preservation workers, as one of our spokes. We have parents as teachers, home visitation as one of our spokes, and Lethbridge School Division, what was called Making Connections, as one of us spokes as well. So we partner on a regular basis through the FRN model, but Family Center does have a vast list of partners throughout the community, and we with different programs throughout the year to make sure that families kind of get that support that they need and the resources that they need.
Definitely. And you're talking about spokes, almost like I'm picturing a bicycle spokes, like everything coming together to make it work, right?
Yes. And as an FRN, as the hub and as the FRN network, the purpose is to be able to provide that wraparound service. So be able to actually look at a family as a unit and see what are their needs, and as different agency filling those gaps and being able to support that family or support that child.
Yeah. Now with AHS, I'm kind of envisioning it being like an educational component there.
Well, within the FRM model, it's the home visitation or families first. So kind of that specific target population. But we do partner with IHS often about that education piece as well. Yes, we have a lot of resources. We bring in different resources for our different programs that families can utilize, as well as refer our families to the resources through IHS as well. One example is we have a very new program called Babes on the Milky Way. And it's a lactation support group. And it was just because the need was really big in Lethbridge, and that support network and the lactation support group for new moms or expecting moms. How we partnered with lactation nurses and being able to bring them in and have them educate or provide support to moms, the new moms that are struggling, or moms that are, needing that extra information. Being able to work with dietitians through Alberta Health Services and bringing them in to provide those resources. We really like to, what we want to focus is to make those connections. So really make those connections for families to the programs or the resources that are out there.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I am imagining that this is free of charge to your clients, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
And Maral, what have you been seeing as the major needs? What are the major needs and issues facing kids and families here in Lethbridge?
Yeah. So one of the biggest sort of transition or trends that we have seen is families and parents that need support through separation and divorce. That has actually, our calls have really increased after and during COVID. And so there's a lot of programs that are out there that Family Center does provide those support for parents that are going through that transition. But it's not just the parent that needs that support, it's also the child that's kind of going through that transition as well. So we offer programming, we offer Rainbows program. So it's a grief and loss program that can support the child to transition through this hard times within their family. So those are the increase in needs that we have seen. We've also seen an increase in calls, a little more distress calls. So calls that are a little more at a heightened level than in the past. So our family connector does her best to be able to navigate through that, do the intake process, and be able to provide them with support. We have had to provide the crisis line for a number of those calls, and we've really seen that trend. And housing has become an issue or a barrier as well. So the trends are that we really, really need to move into this prevention. Really need to inform the community and the families to utilize the programs and services that are out there, so that we don't have these calls down the road, and so that we can mitigate them.
Yeah. Are you able to share any success stories with us?
We have specific dad programs, and really focusing on that, because that father figure role is really important in the child's development. And so those success stories of seeing dads who use worry dragons, it's a program that kids go through, and they identify their dragons and are able to cope with them by learning coping mechanisms or mitigating them. But now that a dad and their little one have been in stores, and they're identifying. They're kind of looking at people and going, "Ooh, that person's dragon is bigger than this person," or "Ooh, that person has their dragon under control." So it's actually built this connection between the dad and the child to be able to do that. So it's a really great way of seeing our programs implemented in the community.
I think that's wonderful, because it seems like there are so many resources out there for moms, but a lot of times dads get kind of forgotten about in the mix, don't they?
Yes, they do, and we have been focusing more this year as we had our funding through Lethbridge Tim Hortons owners and through the Smile Cookie campaign that was really geared and dedicated towards our dad programming. So we've had a number of dad programs that have come up, and they have been full, and it's been amazing to see that relationship and that connection between dads and their kids.
Awesome. Well, you are a nonprofit, so I'm sure you look for donations as well. If people want more information, where can they go?
Absolutely. So our website is the best place to go. We are always looking for donors, supporters, but we also love our volunteers as well. So our website is the best place to go, and there's information about how to donate, how to volunteer, and connecting with us. And I always encourage people to connect with me directly as well, and I can give them more information about where they want to support, which program, which area, and where do they want their dollars to go.
That's amazing. It looks like we are about out of time here, but thank you so much, Maral, for sharing with us all about the Lethbridge Family Center and the mission of it. It's wonderful.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. That was Maral Kiani, Executive Director of the Lethbridge Family Center. I'm Jeanette Roche on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks so much for watching.